Gentlemen, boys and girls, Sunday risers, you're just getting up to go to church, getting home from church, whatever you're doing. Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Rise. It's me, it's the big guy KG, sitting in with the incomparable supporter of the Colorado Buffaloes, Notre Dame diehard fan. This is why we get along. Bradley Beal enthusiast, the Midnight Rider.
Okay, I'll take that one. I'll take that one today.
Hey, you defend him more than anybody. First and foremost, like we do every show, how you feeling today?
I'm good, man. Nice relaxing day yesterday. Got to sit out, just do nothing for a couple hours while the kid was going through his little process yesterday at the Nova Showcase. The parents portion was the same as the one we went to a couple weeks ago. So I just got to sit out and just like, they had a nice little water fountain and water thing. So I was just sitting there enjoying the view, man.
Shit, that sounds great. It's always good to sit by some water and enjoy the view.
Right.
Man. Now, we ain't gonna start off. I ain't gonna say we ain't heavy, because we heavy every show. I'm just trying to get some things set up here. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Nah, go ahead. You know how you gonna start. So go ahead and go ahead and send the fireworks off, man. Don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? Any other time you ready for the guns to go bang bang, so let the guns go bang bang.
Here's the thing. We're gonna start this thing off with the NFL. Okay. Gambling.
That one. Okay.
Yeah, gambling suspensions. I have a strong opinion about this, but let me read this. This is from ESPN. 4 Lions players, including 2022 first-round pick Jameson Williams, are among 5 players league-wide to be suspended for violating the NFL's gambling policy after an investigation by the league. Lions wide receiver Quintez Cephas and safety C.J. Moore have been suspended indefinitely for betting on games, as was the Washington Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney. They can reapply for reinstatement after 1 year, although Detroit announced that its 2 players have been released. Second-year receiver Williams and Stanley Berryhill are suspended for 6 games each for mobile betting that occurred at the Lions Allen Park facility. These 2 did not bet on any NFL games, the team said. May not be a big thing to everybody. Big thing to me. Not because of Shaka Toney, but any of these guys. If you didn't bet on a game that you control the outcome of, I don't see a problem. With this whole thing with FanDuel and sports bets and parlay bets and everything, and you got sports books in almost every stadium and arena around the country in all the 4 major sports. Why is this even a problem? Why is this even suspension worthy? Because they put in a couple of bets. Now, if they didn't bet on themselves and they said, okay, well, I got this parlay. If I don't do this, I don't get it. I don't know what the bets were, whatever. But you're impacting careers about something that you're in bed with to make money off of. It's a problem for me. The NFL has a problem that they really need to look inside themselves. Midnight Rider.
In the immortal words of Doc Holliday, the NFL is telling you that my hypocrisy only goes so far wide. And what I mean by that is that, yes, they're in bed with these fellows, but they also have to maintain a certain level of ethos in their product. They have to make sure that fans don't believe that this is on the take, that players are on the take. And by players being able even to gamble on NFL games, if some player came out and won 10 grand on a prop bet, you don't think fans are going to sit there and be like, oh, how you win that? He must have had knowledge of this. So the NFL is doing the one thing that it's always good at, and that's protecting the shield. It's protecting the thought process around the product. You have to, these suspensions had to happen. A, because you did the first one, and then B, because it's not just, and let's not take it as it's just the players. if you're employed by the NFL, you are bound by these rules. So I know there were two people in Detroit's front office that also got fired because of the gambling situation, because they were gambling on the job. So you have to. The NFL is trying to make sure they can save as much face on this situation and not have people think it's scripted, it's fake, or guys are in collusion. It's that simple, man. Because the second is you break that thought process, or the second that crumbles, this league will go down quickly. It's the biggest thing in the world, and they can't have somebody just being dumb, because I guarantee you they pass by those little things on the wall that say don't gamble on the facility, on property. You know, they probably got them plastered all over the building. So it's not like they don't see the message, but they thought they could get away with it. That's the part. It's like, why are you risking an $800,000 job, Shaka Tony, for whatever amount of parlay you put in? It's not that important. So now he got to look his girl or his wife in the face and like, yeah, I don't have that job anymore. All because I wanted to make a bet.
Here's the thing. And I don't know why they brought this up, but they brought up when Paul Hornung missed the whole entire. It was Paul Hornung. I think it was Alex Karras. They missed the whole season for gambling, and these weren't, betting on football. They were just gambling. Period. $100 here, $200 there with personal bets. Between them and their friends. Oh, well, that's too much. You got to be suspended for that. I wasn't even alive for that, but reading that, I'm like, yeah, that's just kind of crazy. A private bet, and I'm suspended for it, that I don't even have a leg in. I'm just betting, hey, they're going to do this. If you don't want betting in sports, as far as players go, make it across the board. Don't let nobody bet on it. Stop putting the line in the injury report out.
Well, that's all
for the bettors.
No, because now you're taking money out your own. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Like, gambling has always been the backbone of it. It's just like, and I'll say it this way, it's just like marijuana. Like, now people they can get their hands on some of the money that was going somewhere else. And that's what this situation is. FanDuel, DraftKings, PointsBet, you name them, they all kick the league some money. So these leagues are that's another revenue stream. Mm-hmm. So they're never going to cut that off. And plus, they know it's out there. Like somebody doing a parlay online, or back in the day when you had a bookie and you had to pay a vig. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like gambling didn't exist. It's just it's in our face now more than ever because we can do it on things that are sanctioned. That's all it is.
But I also feel the same way about marijuana. I don't think there should be testing for marijuana anymore. Like, Josh Gordon lost countless years of his career for marijuana, and I'm like, how many NBA players smoke and have admitted after their career, I pretty much high almost every game. Yeah, I got high to deal with the anxiety.
But we're also in new times. I mean, you got to think about it. We have more information about anxiety, bipolar, all that stuff. We have more information. So it's prompt and smart for us to adjust and adapt. That's the whole key to surviving. Is to adapt to the circumstances around you and adjust.
This is a poor adaptation by the NFL because you're suspending players for something that you get money off of, number one. Number two, you're suspending players for something that's legal now. I think this is the dumbest thing ever. These are dumb things.
But all they're asking you is don't bet on the NFL and don't bet at the facility. That's it. That's the only two things. You got one job, Ricky. You got one job.
I just think, okay, I get I don't like not betting on the NFL. I get not betting at the facility. But here's my thing. If I placed a bet at the facility, how would you know that unless
it's geo-tracking, my brother?
Yeah, and I'm that's a little too much. That's a little too much.
Because every system has that. So right now, if somebody wanted to or somebody had access, they can see where I place my bets. because every time you have to have your location because all the bets are location centric. So it's even to the point where, so last night when I got home, I logged in to my FanDuel and I had to adjust it because I logged into Maryland. But when I placed my bets yesterday, I was in Virginia. So I had to switch over to the Virginia sports book just to get it. So that's how they sort this thing out, to the point where you have to be in certain spots, certain cities to get access to these accounts. It's just like if you're in DC and you're trying to use what's the MGM, you have to be within 2 blocks, and that thing is geo located.
I get that.
It's pegging you. So that's why they know that somebody did it at the facility.
And here's my thing. And Leroy says, plain and simple. The boss BJ says every device has a unique serial number. Remember what we talked about with the crimes and everyone having a phone? That's true. That is true. Bet all you want, just don't bet on the NFL and bet in the facility, plain and simple. I get not betting in the facility, but everybody's going to, if I'm an NFL fan, I play in the NFL, I want to bet on the team across the country. That should not be a problem. Because either way, you're going to get paid off of it. So
you don't think, I mean, again, we're back in the same scenario. If a player hits a 5-team parlay and somehow Austin Ekeler was out and somebody else was out, so then people start thinking that's insider trading. But you're giving yourself too many reasons for them to doubt you. That's why you have to cut them off of betting on the sport they play in.
Here's the thing. If Austin Ekeler's out on Sunday, I don't have to call anybody in LA. If I'm in New York, I don't have to call anybody in LA. All I got to do is go to NFL.com and I can see who practiced this week, who had a full practice, a limited practice, no practice. I can see all of that.
But you're not going to know that. All right, so think about this. The players are on the field about somewhere between 2 hours before the game starts.
True.
Most inactives come out about an hour before that.
True.
So if this guy places a bet 2 hours before the game, before he gets to the place, with knowledge of Austin Ekeler being out, because he called Austin, or Austin on his Twitter told his boys, or whatever group chat, whatever it is, that's giving him an advantage that everybody else doesn't have at that point.
So because he got it an hour earlier, that's an advantage. But you're gonna get it an hour.
Dude, you are trying, which you're laughing because I get it. Because you're thinking it's if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. One, and obviously they felt the same way, and they got caught, and now they got suspended. You got to deal with the consequences
and released,
right? Because you're being dumb. Because again, like we just said, all you had to do was not bet on your sport and not bet at the facility. It's that simple. It's just like we tell our kids, you tell your kids certain things they can and can't do, but you do them.
Don't do as I do. Do as
right,
I do.
Exactly. Come on.
All right.
I get the reason why you have umbrage with it, because, that's you. I know that fits in the KG profile. I get it.
That's like we talked about it before when we talking about betting and how I think it was in Cincinnati. Was it Cincinnati? It was Cincinnati. They opened up a sports book, and the first person to place a bet was Pete Rose. And I said the moment that he placed that bet on baseball at that sports book in the Cincinnati Reds home stadium, his ban should have been lifted right there, and he should have been invited into the Hall of Fame right then and there. That ban should have been lifted because
that's a ban. There's more to that ban. I don't know what it is, but there's more to that. It's gotta be. Because they've held on to this too long. Because I've even said it. I say it all the time. Baseball is the only sport where its greatest hitter and its greatest home run hitter are not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And that's the problem. That's like the man said, hey, yeah, I bet for my team to win every night. I mean, damn, it's not like he says, you know what? We need to win by 6 runs tonight. Hey, run it up. We need to win by 1.
But that's again, when we're talking about different eras. I mean, back then, gambling was taboo. You were just coming off of, was it Boston College? One of the schools up north had their own scandal in the early, it was in the early 80s.
Point shaving.
Yeah, the point shaving and all that stuff.
Point shaving was hot in college basketball around that time.
Yeah, so I mean, you gotta protect the property as much as you can. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect. I mean, we got the Tim Donaghy where they're still making you believe or wanting you to believe that Donaghy's the only person that participated in this lavish scandal, but he was the only one. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's about equivalent as some dude cheating and pulling the shaggy and saying it wasn't me.
Eric Wheeler chimed in. He said, yes, but if he finds out about 2 hours ahead of time from a friend on the team that the player isn't playing and places his bet, then an hour later, injury report comes out for the Masters, the line changes. But the NFL player found out ahead of time and benefits from the better odds. That is the problem. I give you that. I'll give you that. I'll give it to you. I will give it to you.
See, he just said that way better than I did.
And before he said it, I said, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. However, you got two players that have been released from the Lions. Washington hasn't. They said they're going to cooperate fully with the NFL with Shaka Toney. Follow-up question. With the Lions losing 4 players, Washington losing 1, does this hurt either? I don't think it really hurts Washington because Washington has so much depth at D-line. I don't think it hurts them. But does this hurt the Lions in their rebuilding process and going through everything, and they're kind of sort of almost at that intersection where they're getting ready to turn a corner?
I think the only person that hurts them is Jameson Williams or James Williams, however we pronouncing his name now, because all of a sudden it's Jameson, but I thought it was James On. But it don't matter. Potato. I think he's the only person that gets hurt in this because he's just not gonna have enough time to put up numbers in his career before his 5th year option comes up and is due. He's only played maybe 5 games last year because he was coming off the knee that he hurt in the national championship game, and then this year he misses 6. And any other injuries or anything else, it's really going to hurt this kid's earning potential. That's the only person that really I think gets hurt off of this because Cephas, you can draft that in the 7th round and replace that production because he's just a special teamer. He really wasn't giving you anything else. So I don't think it hurts any team or in terms of their ability to finish with a better record. I just think these guys were just dumb and they hurt themselves.
And Eric Wheeler chimes in. He says, Shaka Toney would have been a bubble player at best.
Yeah, especially when they draft the D lineman this year.
I think, didn't we have him on a bubble in our 53-man roster show? I think he was one of our bubble players we weren't sure about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's the overall thing. It's the rules. I ain't gotta like them, but it's still the rules. So,
right. I mean, I think B. Mitch said it best. He was like, during their time, you couldn't be in a sports book or something like that. And he was like,
you couldn't step foot in it.
Yeah. So he was just like, yeah, I'll do that when I retire. I'll do that. But until then, I can't be in a sports book. It was that simple.
Yeah.
And that's all it needs to be for these guys. I'm at the facility. No need for me to mess up something and place a bet.
Let me ask one final question. And this may be a dumb question, but does fantasy football count as gambling?
Depends on who you ask. Because see, there's the beauty of fantasy football where there are a lot of leagues that, quote unquote, don't take money because you're in the free league. Yeah. So, again, I mean, it still boggles my mind that exists. But yeah, I mean, I think every fantasy football league there should be something on the line. There's got to be some money involved, but that's me. So I think fantasy football gets to play on the line. It can be gambling, but it can't be based on what you're doing.
See, with our fantasy football league, we like to give out a trophy. You know, I got I want to say the Boss BJ's older trophy. Of course, I'm the reigning champ, so I got to have my own trophy. I think my trophy's gonna be bigger than everybody else's though. But
terrible job as a commissioner.
Why has everybody else got the little cup trophy? You got this. Yeah, I got a Lombardi trophy. Yeah, I got a whole Lombardi trophy. I'm just gonna hold up like this. But
that's the one thing I give my boy T Mac credit for is our league, we give out our ESPN league, we give out rings. All the rings are the same. Says like fantasy football champ or whatever. Some people have 1, some people have 2, some of us have 3. You figure out who you know that might have 3.
Well, I would have walked into 2 this year, but that Buffalo game at the end of the season, that was my championship game, and I did not get any credit for any points.
That could have made it 4 for me.
Yeah, I'm sure but when it came down to it, they was like, won't you gonna win this game outright anyway? Because all you had was that Monday game, and Josh Allen's gonna put up points in the Buffalo defense and everything. It was like, we're just gonna give it to you. And I was like, nope, I don't want it like that. I want it straight up. I want it true. So I gave it to the gentleman that I was playing, and he can have the championship. I'll be back next year. So, next topic up. Are injuries hurting the playoffs? Now, we got Kawhi Leonard out. Joel Embiid hurt himself.
You said it right. That's exactly what it is. Joel Embiid hurt himself because he kept falling to the floor. I guess he thinks he should be going by just Embiid and be on a soccer pitch or something. Because the way he falls, good God Almighty, I ain't never seen a 300-pound man fall like he done died, like somebody shot him. And yes, I already know certain people in the room going to talk about my flopping days. I flopped a couple times, but still, I don't flop like Embiid. I don't flop like a dead fish and die every time somebody touches me. It doesn't happen that way.
Victor Oladipo too. He got hurt last night.
I feel so bad for that kid because that kid
man, always do.
Each time he was about to get, I think he turned down. If memory serves me correct, he turned down the bag from Indiana. And that same season, he got hurt, tore up his leg, and it was a large muscle that he tore up. I don't want to get into details because I don't remember the exact thing. I want to say patella tendon, but I don't want to be wrong and put out false information. But he has gotten hurt in his last 4 years. His injuries have made him a role player.
And the thing is, he worked so hard to come back from that injury. So hard. And he refused to stretch a stretcher last night and decided to go off under his own power with assistance, of course. But I'm just hoping it's not serious enough that it keeps him out for months at a time. Because injuries pile up. And I'm looking at the injury report as a whole, for the whole league. Marcus Smart is day-to-day. Lower back contusion. Gallinari is out with a knee. Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons.
Why is he even on the report?
Your guess is as good as mine. Dylan Wilder was out with a foot.
I've never seen anything crazier than the Ben Simmons. But never mind. I'm about to go on a tangent. Let's go. Stay focused. Stay focused, man.
Kawhi Leonard is out. He's day-to-day, I'm sorry. Treating a knee. They aren't sure when he'll be able to return.
The question would be, will they be still playing when he's able to return?
Good question.
There was something more to that Kawhi knee, where his knee's more closer to the kid from Chicago, Lonzo. His knee's more closer to Lonzo's situation than anything else because he's been working off of this knee for the last 3 years since he hurt it.
Here's a question for you: who flops better, LBJ or Embiid?
See, this is Laker hate right here.
No, because I think a lot of people got them all beat.
I think it's Embiid though, because Embiid is one replay.
My son said James Harden.
That's a good one too. But my favorite is the one I think he was shooting a layup, and two people went past him, and Embiid looked back up at the rim, saw the ball didn't go in, and like added extra to his fall. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go with Embiid.
What? No shade to LeBron. That's like when LeBron came through, and he did a pretty little layup, clapped his hands, made it. They blew the whistle for the foul. Nobody touched him. He started flexing. Yeah, nobody touched you, buddy. Nobody touched you. But like I said about Oladipo, he suffered a knee injury during Game 3 of the Bucks Saturday, which was last night. He's listed as day-to-day, so hopefully it's not as bad. Tyler Hero is out. He underwent successful open reduction and internal fixation surgery on the third and fourth metacarpal of his right hand. He's going to be out at least 6 weeks. Giannis is day to day.
A lot of words for him to have a broken hand.
Yeah, it is, ain't it? I like it because it makes me sound like a genius, so I like it. Giannis is out with his back day to day. Wesley Matthews, calf, ruled out. Of course, Zion's out.
That's the kid we want to talk about because he's going to make a major decision.
You know what he's starting to remind me of? And they're talking about mental, and he has to be mentally ready to play. And at first they say his teammates are behind him. Then, CJ McCollum said he need to play and this, that, and that. And I'm like, well, they just said his teammates are behind him, and y'all are making up things to try to make him play, and it's not going to work.
Well, I mean, if he's 99%, dog, it's the playoffs. Like, what's holding you back? That's the only thing I don't like about it is if you're 99%. If you're 99%, then you might as well go ahead and go. It's the playoffs. Like it's almost like it doesn't mean enough to him that he can risk his body in that situation. That's almost how I feel.
Here's the thing:
that basketball is the job that pays him, but it's not the thing he loves. And I don't want that to be like I'm not saying that, but that's how it feels.
Here's the thing. You, the boss BJ, Leroy, Eric Wheeler, everybody listens to the show. We all, myself included, we all grew up in a different era. And it was like, okay, it's playoffs. If you can walk, you can play. Well, I'm gonna have to put a soft cast on my wrist. Just give me a wrist brace. I'll still play. I'll shoot left-handed.
We have a buddy that we were playing just a random Saturday morning flag. I think it was 8-man league game. And he played the whole game on a broken leg. He didn't know it was broken at the time, but he really couldn't move. Came back, found out it was broken. So it's like, yeah, man, it's amazing watching guys not. I think that's it too. I think it's bad management, family advisors. I think the family themselves think of this as their showcase, and they're going to manage the player as much as they can because they got to represent the brand. And right now, unfortunately, Zion's brand, he could be making more money if he would just show up and play.
Yeah.
Because they like him, but the problem I have with him is you can't come out and do a 360 windmill between your leg dunk and then say, I'm out for the rest of the season. Oh, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson, big difference. Now, see, here's the thing about Mahomes, though. Now, Lamar Jackson, his mom is his manager, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to lose out on a lot of money because
they should have took care of it 2 years ago.
Right. as far as Mahomes go, Mahomes is going to lose a lot because of what his brother is. He's distanced himself from his brother, who
Mahomes just got a ring. He ain't losing out on nothing.
No, but he could lose out on a lot because of his brother, and I say that because myself included and a couple of other people, we still want to talk to Jackson Mahomes about what the fuck you did. That disrespectful shit. Oh, you want to atone for that. Until you atone for that, it's going to be a motherfucking problem, and it's going to be on site.
I can't follow that.
Oh, I don't want you to.
All right.
Just look at my face. I mean that shit, Slim. On site. Like you going to wonder where that shit came from. One fist going to come, and all you're going to see is Tim's and slouch socks. That's it. Disrespectful shit. All you're going to hear is stomp that nigga the fuck out, Joe. Then you're going to hear the youngest come. Hey, I got him. Mo kill his. That's it. That's it.
Old man using slang.
Hey, that's it. I'll be that. Now, here's my follow-up question, because you came up with this question, our injuries hurting the playoffs. Here's my follow-up question. Do you think load management has to do with that? Because, preseason, nobody really plays. Nobody really goes at it. You kind of sort of getting yourself back in the flow. And in those first couple of games, you really, really run it. But you got guys not wanting to play back-to-backs. Oh, if we got a travel day, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So they'll sit out the game. Is load management making it so hard for their bodies to adjust and be ready for the ramp up and the rigors of the second season, which is the playoffs?
Simple answer is yes. Like, you're not doing enough things to make your body prepared to be ready for what you're going through. It's just like in the NFL. I think that's part of the reason we have some of these injuries, because these guys aren't hitting or practicing at the pace that they play at. So now your body has to do something it hasn't done in a long time, and it has to ramp up. That's why you're getting soft tissue injuries more so than anything else. Soft tissue injuries happen because you're warming that leg up, but that leg's at a speed that it's not used to going. So now what are you doing? And I always question what these guys do in the offseason. Because some of these guys, you leave and come back, and you still stink. Like Rudy Gobert. You leave, come back, you ain't got no offensive game. I just don't understand what you're doing. Like, do you even you can't practice blocking shots? So what are you doing? Are you just sitting in the beach in France or something like that? What's going on?
Yes.
Some of these other young guys, these 19 and 20-year-old guys that you just don't have any development in your game. If you can only go right, you still can only go right. You might have 18 coaches, 18 ball handling teachers or whatever, but you still can't go left. It's amazing to me, man. I watch. And I think that's going to hurt this game in the long run is the erosion of the players' work ethics.
You know something, and this is what I said to my oldest son, Dario, who's 19. I said, let me tell you something. I said, if you decide that you want to go to community college and ball, great. I said, if you turn that into a scholarship at a 4-year school, great. I said, you make it to the league. And if that's what you want to do, you make it to the league. I said, the first thing I want you to do, once your check clears, he said, what, buy you a house? I said, no, a house for me. I said, I got a place to live. I said, that's your money. What I want you to do, I want you to go call Chris Brickley. I want you to go work out with Chris Brickley. Every offseason, I want you with Chris Brickley. I want you with Lethal Shooter. I want you with all these guys that will help you advance your game. I don't want you shooting threes all the time. I tell both of my sons, you're not going to shoot threes all the time because it's not always going to be open. Learn how to have a mid-range game. If your game's off, learn how to put a smaller guard in a post and take them down. Nobody does that. Nobody works on their craft anymore. It's like, well, I made it, so I ain't got to put in the work no more. Whatever happened to putting in 1,000 shots after the game, 1,000 shots before the game? You working on different aspects of your game at once. Whatever happened to that? Nobody does it. When it comes to defense, nobody plays defense anymore, so nobody works on it.
Because it's a will thing. Defense is a want to. It's not a have to. It's a want to. And scoring is something you have to do. Right. And if you ever pay attention, that leg hurts a whole lot more on the defensive end than it ever does on the offensive end when you got an open shot.
Yeah.
So
now, I'm gonna shout out some people here. If I know that Eric Wheeler is a slasher and I can't defend that, okay, summertime coming, I'm not in the playoffs. I'm calling him up like, look, I got a G a day for you. I need you to drive the basket all day long on me in this gym so I can get myself prepared to see how I can defend this, what I'm capable of doing. I know the boss BJ can shoot. All right, I need to learn how to close out and come around the pick and stop him from shooting. I know the Midnight Rider going to take me and post me up because he's taller than me, he's bigger than me. Okay, take me in a post and abuse me.
I ain't never been taller than nobody.
Well, I'm giving y'all the benefit of the doubt here. But if I know that y'all have a set of skills, I want you in my camp. Look, we spending the whole summer together. We're going to work out for a month. We're going to vacation for a month. We're going to come back and work out.
Well, I think it goes back to the things where you saw like a guy like Kobe go to Akeem Olajuwon and work on post moves.
That's another thing.
It's sometimes you got to give back. You know, these young guys, I'm not gonna say these, but a lot of the young analysts, they try to trash the old game. But the problem is, if you go back and get some knowledge from the old game, you can actually make yourself better, or these players can make themselves better. You know, you spend some time with a guy like Kevin McHale, who Rudy Gobert should definitely seek out, because Rudy Gobert has no offensive game. Mm-hmm. That's something you should do. You know, it's little things in this world that if you get a couple of tips from a couple of guys, and then you sit down, because honestly, you got to sit down with LeBron and try to figure out how did you manage your body over all the playoff series, all the 18 years of playoffs, and you going deep in the playoffs, and your body's taking this punishment, but now you're still just as spry as you were. Well, not as you were back in the day, but you still can go. I mean, that makes a difference, and that's the part that I don't see some of the younger guys plowing into. Like, I've seen Kobe have conversations with people, heard him have conversations, and he dropped weight. He got smaller but stronger, because you know he couldn't carry all the weight the whole time. And I think that's something Zion's got to start thinking about. It doesn't have to be his diet, but the Big Ben got to start doing something different, because a hamstring can't keep you out for 4 months. I'm sorry.
If you think about it, before I get to this next comment, if you think about it, they compare Zion to Barkley. Now, Barkley was listed at 6'6", like 235. Barkley was more, 6'4", 245. But if you remember in the early 90s, even before, Barkley's career, he didn't balloon up until after his career was over.
No, he came in as a balloon.
Well, yeah, and then Moses. you know why you ain't gonna never get no playing time? Because you're too fat. You out of shape.
Yeah.
He said, I went and ate a cheeseburger and cried.
But that's the thing. It's like, it's almost to a point where the league is so young that the old vet is now a 25-year-old.
And we talked about that. There are no more vets to take them in and say, hey, this is how you got to do it. And then the thing is, what you talking to me for? You ride the end of the bench. That's like them listening to Udonis Haslem.
Right.
This dude parlayed a 20-year career coming off the bench most of the time. Dog, I want to talk to him and see how he prolonged his career and got 3 rings.
Right.
That's what I want to talk to.
It's about doing the little things. Everybody in the league can score. What can you do that everybody else can't do?
The intangibles. And Eric Wheeler says, when my daughter started playing basketball, I told her there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. I told her she can play hurt, but not injured. At 13, she fell in the game on her elbow, finished the game, and played a second game. That night, it swelled up, took it to the ER, and found out it was a fracture. She played with a fractured elbow. That is a warrior. Exactly. And 99%, get your ass on the floor and help your team.
Right.
But that proves my point. We all grew up in a different era. We push our kids a little bit more, because when that's like RG3, the night he got hurt against Seattle in a playoff game. He told Trent Williams, he was like, I'm hurt, but I'm not injured. He's like, I tweaked it a little bit. Don't say nothing. I'm not injured. I'm just hurt.
No. He said it popped. He said it popped. Don't say nothing.
I heard tweak, but
I heard pop because he's mic'd up in that game.
Yeah. And they released that and was like, oh, well, he should have came out the game. He wanted to be Super Bowl. Like, Tom Lavero gave him the fucking business after that. He was like, "This, you want to be RG3, but you turned into Super Bob and you hurt the team." I was like, "Oh, Lavero is getting his fucking business." I was hurt. I ain't gonna lie, I was hurt. But
so we've talked about injuries. We talked about all this other stuff. Let's talk about the playoffs itself from the standpoint of like what stood out to you these last couple of days, because it's been a lot.
Oh yeah.
I mean the playoffs. Even though we have the injuries, there's still the team's gutting it out. One of the biggest stories got to be the resurrection of Russ.
Let me tell you something. I don't think it's a resurrection of Russ, because was it Gilbert Arenas? I can't remember who said it, but they brought up a good point. When KD won MVP, who was his point guard? When Harden won MVP, who was his point guard? Bill had his best season, who was his point guard? Russell Westbrook makes everybody around him better when you let him play this game. They wanted him to be the third option in LA, but when option 1 and 2 are not in there, he had to be the number one, and that's not his goal to be the number one. Not saying that he can't be, but his goal is not to be the number one. But when he has people around him that can finish, that can ball, and he don't have to be the focal point to take the shots, totally different player. Because then he can attack. And that's what he does the best, is attack the damn rim. I used to say him and Derrick Rose are two of the best, and him, Derrick Rose, and John Wall are the best at attacking the rim and starting fast breaks, because once they get out there, you can't catch them. I've never seen dudes run so fast with a basketball.
Right.
When you get him in that space, ain't nothing you can do with him. I love it. I love it.
So then the next, no, you good. The next thing is, we call it the stomp heard around the world, I guess, with the Kings and the Warriors, and Sabonis being on the wrong end of a Seth Rollins-like stomp from Draymond Green. And that play in itself, I don't know how the league manages these replays and them going back and re-legislating, but the man had the dude's leg in a grip, and he was just trying to get away. It wasn't. I mean, he almost. And I think Doc Rivers said it. He said some of these players are just antagonizing guys into these fouls. He literally had his leg wrapped up and he couldn't move. So what do you want him to do? But the series itself, oh baby, we got a series. Like that's going to be the one that, that's going to be the one that makes the NBA money.
You know which one I think gonna make the NBA money? Your Lakers versus the Grizzlies.
Lakers in 6.
Nah, I don't even got the Lakers in 6. I got they up 2-0 now, 3-0?
Nah, it's 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Dylan Brooks. You can't do all this and not back it up, dog. You know, he old. You talk about LeBron being old. LeBron don't normally get, messing around, but he had some words for him before last game. Then he went out there to continue to bust his ass. Dylan Brooks, close your mouth. Do your job. That's it.
Nah, he seen Draymond make a career out of it.
Yeah,
so
but
the thing is, he can get some money off of it.
It's different with Draymond, because Draymond could make a career out of it, but Draymond could talk all the shit he wanted. But one thing about Draymond Green, it may not look like it, but if you look at that stat sheet at the end of the night, he got a double-double. He did the intangibles. Draymond Green would talk shit on the defensive end, but then when he would come out on the offensive end, he would run that point forward. He would initiate the offense. He's telling guys where to go. He's calling out screens. And I could not stand Draymond Green, but I love the way he played. I couldn't stand, Golden State front runners, of course. I don't like front runners, but I love the way he operated. I love the way that team operated, because it was in a concept. Dylan Brooks and the Memphis Grizzlies ain't on that type of time. Yeah, they the number 2 seed and all of that. Okay, I get all that. I don't got them beating the Lakers. I got them going home early. Early. 2 more games and y'all up out of there.
I like that. I think the worst thing they did was they came out talking. Like when Ja said, like sometimes diplomacy is the best policy. And Ja coming out saying, I'm not worried about the West. I got the West locked up. That was one of the worst things you could do because that's like throwing chum in the water with a bunch of sharks. You don't give people extra motivation. I mean, these guys don't need it, but when you say something like that, that picks up that pressure a little bit more. That gives you that energy to go guard that dude 94 feet or whatever the length of the court is. It gives you that energy to like make something happen. That loose ball, that extra effort, you're gonna make it a little bit more because now you trying to prove a point. Because you ain't got the West locked down like that. And I appreciate the young fellas for their participation, but Lakers in 6. And that's all I got to say.
Oh man.
So then there's also the Hawks Celtics. I think the Celtics to get this over with, like the 76ers got the Nets out of there.
But did you know what? Somebody had a lot. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Kuzma when him and Spencer Dinwiddie were going back and forth, and they were talking about New Jersey. He was like, I think Kuzma told Dinwiddie, only reason why you in the playoffs is because KD and Kyrie got y'all there.
Right.
And all y'all did, y'all played below 500 ball after they left.
Right.
Okay. But
speaking of the team that would have benefited from not making the playoffs.
Yes.
But the thing that hurt them was, like they said, they got such a good start that it was inevitable. And then when you saw them in the playoffs, you just saw a team that just didn't have enough. They just didn't have it.
Eric Willis says Memphis plays better basketball, quote unquote, basketball without Ja on the floor. Not saying they're a better team, quote unquote, without him, but they play better basketball. Hence last night's game. Look at the box score. Everyone stands around and watches Ja dominate the ball. I mean, I think that's when I first started seeing that, people stand around and watch one player just handle the ball. Iverson. Because everybody's so fast.
They needed to stand around though.
That
team needed to stand around and watch him.
Leave Eric alone and Aaron McKee and Matt
Tyrone Hill
and George Lynch, the crypt keeper.
Yeah.
But that's what everybody would do because you didn't know what he was going to do next. So you sitting there like, I don't want to miss this. I'm on the floor and I don't want to miss this. But nobody, ran the sets.
Right. The set was it was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Give Will the ball and everybody move out the way. That's what it was in Philly. Give it the AI and let everybody else watch.
Now, I will say, watching Chicago during the 90s, it was always a lot of movement. No matter, you knew Jordan was going to take the shot, but 9 times out of 10, it was just a lot of movement. And it was like, I'm doing this.
Right.
But I'm getting ready to take it up with the left hand.
Right.
Like, you paying attention to this, but I'm doing this. It was smoke and mirrors most of the time. But at times, you would see a clinic, especially when Chicago ran the fast break. If they got you 3-on-2, that extra pass would always come, and then hear Ron Harper come down the middle of the floor. Easy dunk. But we're going to stick with the NBA. Now, this right here chaps my ass.
Oh, boy.
Phil Jackson made some comments. I'm reading this off of Yahoo Sports. Ex-NBA coach Phil Jackson says he stopped watching basketball when players wore slogans on their jerseys during the COVID-19 bubble. Hall of Fame NBA coach says he hasn't enjoyed or watched basketball since the 2020 bubble in Orlando, Florida. The reason, he didn't like the slogans on players' jersey on the court. Quote, they had things on their back like justice. And a funny thing happened, like justice just went to the basket and equal opportunity knocked him down. Jackson said, some of my grandkids thought it was pretty funny to play up those names. I couldn't watch that. Here's the thing. Oh, let me read this next paragraph first. Hold on. The NBA agreed to let players with slogans such as justice, equality, Black Lives Matter, say their names, vote, peace, and others on the back of their jersey instead of their names during the bubble in 2020 as a show of support for fighting for racial injustice in the United States. That decision by the league came on the heels of massive protests during the summer of 2020 after the murder of George Floyd, an unarmed Black man, the death of Breonna Taylor, an unarmed Black woman who was killed in her home. Games were postponed during the bubble when players refused to play in the wake of the shooting of Jacob Blake, a 29-year-old Black man in Wisconsin. Jackson appears to believe that messaging did more harm than good because it made the league too political. Quote, it was trying to cater to an audience or trying to bring certain audience to the game, he said. And they didn't know it was turning other people off. People want to see sports as non-political. Politics out of this. Politics stays out of the game. It doesn't need to be there. I'm gonna let you take this first.
Nope, I don't want it. It's yours.
Okay,
it's yours.
I'm gonna take it first.
Hold on, I'll do it properly. The good senator of Washington D.C. decides to give his time to the gentleman from Maryland. My bad.
I will say this. It hurts that Phil Jackson would say something about keeping politics out of the NBA when he was as a player, he was a part of the counterculture. He was a part of the anti-establishment. So for him to be in his 70s and now you've switched and you're saying, like when people say, well, politics need to stay out of sports. Well, sports is politics. One way or another, they go hand in hand. Okay. But these things, being upset about these slogans being worn on the back of jerseys. And I've seen it. It's not just Phil Jackson. I've seen it so many times. So many people get upset about it. Well, it's too woke. And I hate that word woke. What is woke? Explain woke. And nobody can explain woke. But I'm going to tell you what woke is. We've been lulled to sleep as a people. Not just black or white, but as a people, we've been lulled to sleep with bullshit and lies for years. Centuries, decades, okay? Now people are starting to wake up and realize what the truth is. Oh, you too woke. Well, I'm too woke because I see what's going on. I know for a fact the things that we're seeing recorded, these are just a small piece of what's going on, but it's been going on for so long and you never heard about it. Now you're hearing about everything and people are starting to make a stand. Now it's a problem. But now, would it be a problem if somebody wore Blue Lives Matter? Would it be a problem if somebody said, you know what, instead of having the American flag, I want the Confederate flag on my jersey? Would it be a problem then? Because, you know, I like to back the blue. Confederacy is my heritage. It's your belief system. So it would be okay for you to protest and say these things, but anything that has to do with people of color, that's when it's always a problem. You're too woke. Coming from Phil Jackson, this extremely hurts because this dude he used to be so in touch. And now it's like you're so far out of touch about shit to make a statement like this. I can't. But then you got coaches like Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr who don't back down and understand where these type of statements come from and what they need to why they need to be to the forefront. You know, they're a little bit more progressive. I thought Phil Jackson was in that daggone same category, but apparently not. Like, people are getting rubbed the wrong way because somebody's finally using their platform to speak up about what's happening to black people in their community, left, right, up, down, everything. But and it's black people that's getting upset too. Don't get me wrong. But on the flip side, you were always upset that Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, all those guys from the 90s never said anything. But you were upset that they wouldn't say anything. Now you got this new generation that's speaking up and speaking out, and you got a problem.
Go ahead, keep going, man. Don't like you bite your tongue. Don't bite your tongue.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to get my words together and not be, overly emotional, because it's crazy. Whenever it's a black issue, it's always a problem. It's like, yo, you live in the greatest country in the world. Well, okay, it's the greatest country to you. Oh, well, racism is not alive, and it's so long ago. Is that a fact? So long ago. True story. I did a job. Somebody had a broken phone line. They had to come in the phone line. I had to go locate the phone line. I had a gentleman come out of his house, come to me and say, hey, what you doing on my property? Oh, they're repairing your phone line. I had to make sure they got everything so they don't hit nothing. Okay, that's fine and well, but I don't want your black ass on my property. Get off my property. But racism is dead, though. Racism is dead, though. We don't have a right to say, hey, this is what's happening to us. And then we say, well, Black lives matter. Well, all lives should matter. Well, how is it that all lives can matter, but it's the black ones that's losing it mostly? It seems like when you say anything black lives matter, black dads matter, it's a problem. But you shout blue lives matter, and then those same people that shout blue lives matter storm state capitals because they can't have haircuts and can't leave the house. They storm the nation's capital because they think they're going to do something and overturn an election that they swore that was rigged, and you in turn kill police officers who are trying to protect the senators and the congressmen and women, but you shout out blue lives matter. It was like at that point, I guess blue lives didn't matter anymore. So to sit here and say, oh, I didn't watch basketball because it was too political. What other platform can we use? Can't use music because what you can shut the music down. What's a good way to get to the masses, to get your message out to the masses?
Well, music is already, I think music is one of the most not racially divided, but it's amazing how an artist, let's say Adele or let's say a Sam Smith, they will always get played on our stations if their song fits into the category.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very rare that you'll hear one of our songs go over to their side.
True.
Now they may remake it, they may cover it, but it's amazing. It always amazed me that certain artists would come on the urban stations and they'd get play. They didn't have to change who they were. They didn't have to do anything.
Nope.
And so I think, and it's also funny because if you watch certain shows, like I used to watch, was The Voice?
Mm-hmm.
Start watching it because I figured out that most of America loves country music. So if you put a country person on the show, no matter what the talent level is, people want to go cater to what they want to hear. And if you look at The Voice and look at the winners, most of them fit in that category. So to get back on to the Phil Jackson comment, I'm not shocked. I mean, I have no reason to be shocked because they always tell us who they are. Like they go out their way to remind you of what it is. No matter how many slogans you come up with, no matter what you make up, it's still there. And actually, I have a problem with when I turn on NFL Network, and I think it's in anti-Semitism or the one where anti-Semitic stuff or whatever they're asking you. It's like a little blue flag, and all the shows have that. And I'm just like, I didn't know it was that prevalent. You know what I'm saying? But hey, okay. But it's just funny to me how certain causes get platforms, and certain ones you're trying to bury that platform.
Oh,
like nobody came out and said, let's ban hate on Catholics or hate on Baptist people. But we get that don't hate the Jews a lot.
Oh yeah.
It's just amazing the way the world operates in what it allows and what it's cool with and what it's not cool with. And I think that was the whole point of Dave Chappelle's special, was if you're not the right alphabet or you're not the right culture, then there's no justice for you.
Agreed. And then think about this. It's stop Jewish hate and everything, and you say anything. You can go back to Kyrie Irving. He posted a link and said, "Watch this movie and check out for yourself." Look at the backlash that he went through. Oh, he's anti-Semitic, but guess what? Amazon never took the damn movie down. They actually charged more for it. And the movie had been out for 2 years. The book had been out for longer than that. What's crazy is doing research and all the things that I read. Kyrie, you, myself, most of our listeners, we can't be anti-Semitic because guess what? We are Semites.
Right.
Can't do it. It's not possible. But you don't want to hear that. And that's cool. And Eric Wheeler says, Phil's the old guy screaming, "Get off my lawn." # Mr. Anderson.
Oh, that's inside baseball right there. Love that.
You know what's crazy? Before we started this show, that's why I said what I said. And I was supposed to have it on the board, but my wife wasn't having that.
Right.
But if you remember that scene in Django, when they came to the plantation, she said, "You suppose I should treat them like white folk?" No, that's not what I'm saying. Phil Jackson is basically saying, "Not my niggas, not on my plantation." That's basically what you're saying. Hey, it's cool to have to talk about politics. Just don't do it in this space right here. Well, why not? This is where we have the biggest platform. This is where we have it. And appreciate that, Kevin King. He said we on point and he loves it. Please make sure you like and subscribe and come on back because we're going to do it again on Tuesday. But I don't understand. Why is it such a problem when you got so many guys that feel the same way? Hey, we got to start standing up. We got to start using our voices. And I mean, granted, it hasn't changed a lot, but damn it, it's moved the needle a little bit. It's moved it just a little bit.
Well, they've done enough, or they're doing enough to try to distance themselves from the past. Like if you paid attention during Black History Month, there were certain videos and items that you didn't see that you used to see. The water hose, the dogs, you didn't see that as much. So because now those people are somebody's grandparents, and it's almost like the Freaknik video. They don't want you to see them out there putting the water hose on the Black person. They're a little nervous about that because now they got to answer to their grandkids. Why did you do that? Why was it like that? So you keep yourself from answering questions by hiding the truth.
Well, they're doing that. They're whitewashing history. They're trying to take things out of history books. And one of my biggest subjects, if you haven't already known, is history. It's not just sports history, it's history, period. And to open up a book from one of my kids' schools and see that they have written there that, oh, well, they weren't slaves. They were brought here to work and they worked and they were paid and they liked it. And this, whoa, 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 whoa.
That's in the book.
I can go to mom's house right now and get a couple cassette tapes from my great grandfather told you that it wasn't nothing like that. My great grandfather told you, yeah, slavery ended in 1865, but it really did not.
Right.
It was just given a rebrand. That's all it was. It went from slavery to Jim Crow to segregation. It was given a rebrand every time. And you think that people are not supposed to speak up and fight about this? Oh, you rich, it's not affecting you. You think that, and the boss BJ said this, and I always go to it. He said, you think if one of LeBron James' kids is driving down the street in an expensive car, young, black, don't look like he fit in this neighborhood, in your opinion, you think a police officer wouldn't hesitate pulling him over and roughing him up because it's LeBron's son?
He would just do it just because he's black. LeBron's son thing is a bonus, baby.
Yeah. Tell me that it does not affect somebody like LeBron James, who's a billionaire. Tell me it does not affect him. Oh, you live in a gated community? Yeah. But everybody else don't live in a gated community. He got family that don't live in a gated community. Don't mean it don't affect them. It pains me because Phil Jackson is one of my favorite coaches of all time. And to see this, now it's no way you can say this is taken out of context. And then to say your grandkids laughed about the names that were on the back of the jersey. Like, you used to be so progressive. Like I said, you were anti-establishment. And now, basically instead of correcting your grandkids and saying, hey, it's nothing to laugh about. This is a serious situation. People are hurting. You just like, well, I can't watch it. They ran with it and they made up names and this, that, and the. It means that not only did you just influence your children with this belief, you also influenced your grandchildren with this belief. So now we got 2 more generations that are just walking zombies and believe whatever's fed to them.
Question.
Answer.
You ever hear somebody complain about the Army-Navy game?
No. The biggest complaint I've ever heard about that is why is it never on the same channel, or why is it never widely on?
It's the only game where you can take the players' names off their backs. You can throw slogans on their backs, and nobody complains. It's not being political then. When patriotism tackles liberty, it's not a joke. That's all.
I love it. Whew. But I digress. Phil Jackson, for what you once were, how do you change and be so anti-establishment? Fuck the man is what you always said, stick it to him, to this bullshit right here.
He became old.
Yeah. I think if him and Jeannie would have stayed together, he wouldn't have never made this comment. Just my thoughts.
So, this weekend. Today. It's almost game time, probably in Minnesota. I know there better be one person playing first base in the Nationals lineup, and his name is Joey Meneses. Yesterday, I think he went 4 for 6. Because they were saying, oh, he needs to be in the field to get his rhythm. Well, it looks like he got his rhythm to me. So I don't need a pencil. Go grab the closest Sharpie, put him in the second spot or the third spot, and then figure everybody else out. But it's no way Joey Meneses should not be in the lineup today, getting at-bats for the Nationals, who have kind of gone to Minnesota, played their 2 coldest games in team history, but have won both games. So they've clinched the win of the series. Now they're going for the sweep today to finish it off. So let's get the sweep, but let's make sure Joey Meneses is in the lineup, or we're going to have some problems.
Well, I don't have any baseball, but I think the Boss BJ will really get a kick out of this one. Today at 3:00, Talladega 500. You got Denny Hamlin sitting on the pole, and the Boss BJ, if he ain't already in the house, if he's home, I know he's getting ready to watch this. I think I want to get in on it too, just a little bit, but put this APB out there to him and Big Jim. Y'all want to get some NASCAR in later on today. I'm with it. We can do Talladega. We can damn sure do Talladega. I'm with it. But
Talladega, then that's going to be Busch. That's going to be Kyle Busch's thing if he's still driving. I can't remember, but one of the Busch boys normally do well in Talladega. So that's who I would pick for the day.
Well, I'm looking down here. I don't even see one I'm on here. But all right,
so people one of them. Give me Joey Logano. That's all I'll take for the day.
Well, put that parlay in. Because one rule we don't have, we can bet in our office. So, the bets come in the office. But man, I think we had a pretty productive show. Covered a lot of things. If you haven't already, go back to last night's show and listen to the Saturday Night WrestleManiacs with the People's Choice Don Rodriguez, Nubian Sumo, and of course yours truly. Great show last night. On Tuesday, we'll be back with some pre-draft talk, pre-NFL draft talk. Because
I'm trying to get one other person, but I don't know what the schedule looks like.
Okay. I want to know. I need you to make a shopping list for Washington.
Okay.
And then, of course, Thursday, we're coming in live during the draft. We're probably coming around pick number 12 or 13, maybe a little earlier than that. And we'll talk draft and we'll talk who's been picked before. And then, like always, every year, we'll get to Washington's pick. We'll analyze the pick, and then that'll be our show. But we really, 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 really got to make a shopping list what Washington needs going into this draft.
So are we going to do shopping list, and are we prioritizing the shopping list, or are we going to just do the 3 or 4 positions that we think should?
Oh, no, I need you to prioritize. I need to know, are we going to write down every pick? And, are we going best available with this pick, or are we picking a certain player with this pick? That's how in-depth I want to get with you.
All right, so that means I got to start marking some more. I already know who I end up with, so it's just I got to figure a couple things out.
And then, I of course, the name that you've been bringing up during this whole cycle was Bijan Robinson. So I need to know where he lands.
I don't know. I mean, talk yesterday said that Philly may get Derrick Henry. So that's kind of put a – and it's funny because now since all the blue check marks are gone, it's like you don't know who to listen to, who not to listen to. So
yeah,
I found that pretty hilarious yesterday as I was going through Twitter trying to get confirmation. But that'll probably come out draft day, or that might come out depending on what's in the deal. That might not come out till draft day. But if it's something big, they might drop it like Tuesday to try to take our attention off of the quarterbacks, because there's talk that CJ Stroud isn't going to, and Houston's going to go a different direction, which doesn't make sense. No. But then again, it's Houston, so it does make sense.
That's what I was about to say. Does anything Houston do make sense?
Right, because there's even talk. I've heard rumblings that they're trying to do another tank season to try to get Caleb. And it's just like, come on, you can't keep doing this. Like you've wasted 2 coaches in this process, and now, I mean, I don't know. So I hope DeMeco gets what he needs to make that team successful. Or it could be a thing where DeMeco is falling in line with Kyle and doesn't believe that the quarterback position needs to be that prominent. And if you have a good set of offense, that as long as your guy comes in and is capable, your offense can move. So it's going to be interesting.
We will keep an eye on that. And I will say this. If the Texans tank and they fired DeMeco Ryans after 1 season, they need to be investigated.
I don't know if you're going to be able to make it through that if that happens. We're going to get you a medic alert, because you might go off during the show. We might have to have paramedics on hand, because you might bust a aorta or something, because you're gonna be heated if that happens.
Oh yes, most definitely. Of course I am. I would have every right to be heated.
You are.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this one. Be back on Tuesday. Enjoy your Sunday. Weather's good. Hopefully the sky doesn't split like it did yesterday. But you know our motto. We don't do no overtime, y'all.
We are out of here.